of the best examples of an organization that realized they had to change, realized they had to work more like a network, was the U.S. military. In fact, I think it was STANLEY McCHRYSTAL famously said, the wisest decisions are made by those closest to the problem, regardless of rank.
In the military and government world, there's always been a saying called need to know. The problem is it presumes that someone, the all-wise person, knows who needs to know and who doesn't. But in reality, you couldn't make the kind of assumption that everyone here needs to know and everyone else doesn't need to know because the environment changes too fast. We had to create what we call shared consciousness, and that was giving everybody contextual understanding of not only the big picture, but the constantly evolving situation. We were able to connect our entire organization in real time, and so the entire organization, like a human brain, is getting constant updates on the weather, the light, where your body is, what's happening, all these things. And instead of doing just what they've been told originally, they can adapt that to what the conditions are. And very quickly it starts to happen so fast and the connectivity gets so strong that the organizations only need that constant shared consciousness and a general direction in which we're moving to be able to adjust and act with much greater effectiveness, much greater wisdom, because they're closer to the problem. There are some process and procedural things that have to change, but the biggest ones are culture, because people aren't used to sharing certain kinds of information, either because they own it or they think maybe you're not worthy of having that information, or maybe not trustworthy to have that information.
If you want to build trust, I would say two great ways to do it are: one, be generous, and two, emphasize similarities with people. And the reason I say this is if you're generous to people, what you are doing is usually you're evoking feelings of gratitude in them. And the one thing we know about gratitude is, George Simmel, the famous sociologist, said it's the moral memory of mankind. It's what doesn't let me forget that I owe you something. And in many ways we've shown that it's the emotional engine that drives trustworthiness. Simply feeling grateful will increase my odds of repaying you. So one, be grateful. Two, emphasize similarities. The other thing we know is that the more similar you feel to someone, what that's going to do is all of a sudden make you say, oh, I have something in common with this person. And simply recognizing that increases non-consciously your mind's valuation of helping them, and therefore will increase the odds that you're going to behave in a trustworthy fashion toward them and they to you.
There was always a group of people who, either by personal constitution or organizational mores, are either scared or just unwilling to do that. They are unwilling or unable to change. But many of the others really just need support from their leadership that says, no, we want you to do this. This is what's not only acceptable, it's expected.
I think there is a shift around the openness and the transparency in organizations, and the way that when you look at the tech industry and the concept of open source and multiple people contributing to create something without it necessarily having a distinct leader, that's a shift that I think started in tech, but more and more I'm seeing nonprofit organizations and other large groups start to think about, how can we invite more people into our process?
People were much more comfortable sharing all the information because they realized how important their dependence was, and it changed this pecking order. You stopped having this stratification that the people who have a certain position in the organization are cool people and the other people are not. That started to break down and it became a meritocracy.
That whole paradigm of someone having access to secret information, that is over. Everyone has access to information. Now it's about the guy or the woman who knows how to use it best.
People were interested in what you did to make things happen. There's constant feedback. You pretty soon knew who was contributing a lot and who was not. And hot air didn't get you very far, and hard contributions made a big difference.
We're seeing lots of examples now of industries and specific organizations who are saying, well, listen, who do you think knows most about how to run the production line well? Is it the managers in the office, or is it the people pushing levers and pressing buttons every day? Do you know what? It's them.
Maybe it's naive, but I think the boss in the traditional sense is not required in the teamwork that I envisage and the kind of work environment I envisage. So I think the boss will become a selection of self-chosen mentors and coaches.
The role of the leader is maybe more important than ever before, because the leader is the orchestrator. The leader is the person who makes it okay and necessary to collaborate. Leaders have got to create an environment in which everybody's contribution is valued and, to a certain degree, openly celebrated.
The boss's job is to basically go in and make sure, do they have what they need? Are the right people on the team? Are there people on the team I can trust to make these decisions? Am I empowering them in that moment? And have I set a purpose or a vision that's driving them in the right direction?
A leader takes the ask and says, right, so what do we do? You guys have all the skills. And the magical, it's a really subtle change, but the magical thing that happens is that all of a sudden, you're engaging the employees. You're saying, I trust you, I need your help to do this. And once they've done that, once they make sure that everybody knows the destination, the outcome that they're looking to achieve, the second thing they do is they get out of the way.
It's a new role for most leaders. It's sometimes uncomfortable because it's not quite as carefully scripted. You can't sit in your office, write certain memos out, send them out, come out only when you're particularly prepared. You're much more involved all the time. My biggest decision was simply to keep it moving and then to let the organization go where the organization's combined wisdom took it. And what I found was much more rewarding to me to see how much we could do cumulatively, how much we could accomplish, and how much I didn't have to put my hands on the tiller, how much I could have, as we used to call it, eyes on, hands off.